serious revelations keep coming from the release of the Epstein files. One are 18 emails from an FBI informant based in Mexico to an NYPD detective. In one of those emails, he questions whether or not the NYPD detective had shared information about the sex trafficking trial that he was connected with in Mexico, because an American had shot the trial judge, evidently. That, and Senator Wyden is calling upon the DEA to investigate what may be drug trafficking crimes related to Epstein, not just sex trafficking. My name is Dina Dahl with the MeidasTouch Network. Let's break this down. Now, as we know, there are millions of documents that were released in that last release of the Epstein files, and people are still combing through them. Well, El País, Spanish newspaper with a Mexican edition, is talking about this FBI informant email. FBI informant Ken Turner sent 18 emails to an NYPD detective. In one of these emails, he asks specifically, he says, "We've had another serious incident since an American shot the trial judge in our child sex trafficking case here. He and I both think this latest incident is tied to the fact we have reached out to your team. Who on your team knows we are talking to you? Anyone assigned from NSA, CIA, or U.S. State Department? ? Please understand people's lives here are in jeopardy." And he sent that on July 27th, 2019. As we know, Jeffrey Epstein was in New York getting arrested for his sex trafficking scheme at that time in New York. And here you have this informant saying evidently an American had shot a judge in a sex trafficking trial in Mexico, and this informant believing that somehow there was a leak in his communication with the NYPD detective. Now, of course, we don't know, can't confirm the truth of his statement. This is the problem with independent reporters, even legacy media, having to comb through these documents ourselves, because we don't have the investigative tools, the ability to actually question somebody under oath to figure out if somebody is telling the truth or not. We have to instead be reading their emails, because the DOJ and the FBI did not do their jobs. But calling out these emails, because there certainly should be more attention on it here in the United States. As I said, El País already reporting on this, but I haven't seen any reporting. On August 10th, 2019, this same informant emails, "Just heard about Epstein. Based upon what we have discovered here and who was involved here in Mexico, we don't believe it was suicide. When you have 5 minutes, you need to listen to what we have as evidence." So much coming out in the release of these Epstein files. So much still to come out in these Epstein files. We need somebody in law enforcement to be able to do the right things here for what seems to be survivors worldwide of Epstein's abuse, him and all of the men and connected to him, and women, anybody who was connected to this. Now, Senator Wyden, as we know, he has been just on top of this. He's been on top of the banking. Now also sending a letter to the DEA saying that they need to investigate what has come out in these files about the fact that Epstein may very well have been involved with drug trafficking, not just with human trafficking or sex trafficking. He says in his letter, "As you may be aware, federal records recently unsealed by the Department of Justice indicate that Epstein and members of the criminal organization were the target of a major investigation by the DEA for illicit financial activity tied to drug trafficking, according to a heavily redacted memo prepared in 2015 by the director of the DEA's Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Forces. Epstein and 14 other co-conspirators were being investigated for their involvement in illegitimate wire transfers, which were tied to illicit drug and or prostitution activities occurring in the U.S. Virgin Islands and New York City." And he goes on to say that in order for that department, that specific task force to be involved, it had to be a massive, major drug trafficking activity that they don't investigate the lower level or minor ones. So Senator Wyden, as always, coming out in front, trying to get accountability. Interestingly, if you remember, he also sent a letter not that long ago to the director of the CIA itself. It was a very short, cryptic type letter that really just said to the CIA director, by the way, I sent you a classified letter raising serious concerns. And then he sends this public letter to the CIA just saying, I sent you a classified letter, highlighting one, he either wants the public to know that there is a serious issue he's trying to raise with the CIA, or two, perhaps even more alarming, he doesn't trust the fact that his letter might get to the CIA director. So he's calling out to the CIA director himself, heads up, if you're not getting a letter, I sent you one. They say you are where you eat, and Mosh protein bars are both delicious and nutritious, and it's all about supporting brain health. They were started by Maria Shriver and her son Patrick Schwarzenegger because they wanted to do something to help families suffering with Alzheimer's. Plus, they've been named as one of Oprah's favorite things. They taste delicious. They even have plant-based flavors, and their ingredients are amazing for your brain. They include ashwagandha, collagen, lion's mane, omega-3. Plus, they have something called Cognizin. It is the first and only food brand to have it. It is a premium nootropic that supplies the brain with a patented formula of choline. As you can see here, I am traveling, and it is great to throw some bars in my bag when I know I'm having something nutritious and good for my brain. But perhaps the best part about this bar is they donate a portion of all proceeds to gender-based brain health research through the Women's Alzheimer's Movement. And it's gender-based because 2/3 of all Alzheimer's patients are women, and they're trying to close the gap between women and men's health research. I have family members suffering from dementia. I want to eat foods now that help my brain, plus help support research in the future. So if you want to find ways to give back to others and fuel your body and your brain, Mosh bars are the perfect choice for you. Head to moshlife.com/mistrial to save 20% off plus free shipping on the bestsellers trial pack or the new plant-based trial pack. That's 20% off plus free shipping on either the bestsellers trial pack or the plant-based trial pack at moshlife.com/mistrial. Thank you, Mosh, for supporting this episode. Talk about this timing, because it could be about many things. I mean, Senator Wyden is very involved, right, in intelligence and foreign affairs, but he's also been very active in this. So interesting side note. And then, of course, we see what Trump did, right, with the cartel and pardoning. Not only did he, as we know, pardon the Honduras president who was convicted, and in his trial, it came out that he partnered with the Sinaloa cartel, but also he allowed family members of the head of the Sinaloa cartel to be granted asylum and came to the United States back in May of 2025. Trump is all over these files, is so connected to Epstein in one way or another. And possibly his pardons and the granting of asylum are unrelated to Epstein. Perhaps they are. Again, this is why we need a competent DOJ and FBI to investigate this. Unlike the fact that they have not been doing that for years. There's plenty of details. If Trump wasn't the president of the United States and took action like he did, favoring somebody who was connected to a cartel, and then on the other hand was friends with somebody who was under serious investigation for drug trafficking. If you are a normal person like you or me, you would be getting investigated by the DOJ and the FBI for that. And you shouldn't stop that just because he is, holds the office of president, let's say. But anyway, this is the latest. So be sure to subscribe to MeidasTouch if you haven't yet. Follow the Mistrial podcast wherever we have podcasts. You can see I'm traveling. I was in DC for the People's State of the Union, which was the most amazing event. So glad we had counter programming to Trump. And be sure to check out the Mistrial sponsors in the description below. They never censor what I have to say, which to me is so brave and courageous in this moment. And I'm very grateful for it and grateful for their sponsorship.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.